interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the president of NUPENG, who is also the deputy president of the United Labour Congress. He will be speaking to me on the right policies the government can put in place to ensure that we have more youths being employed. He also made comments about the petroleum industry bill. Join me. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Oh, sure. Thank you. My pleasure.
Unemployment in Nigeria amongst youths most especially, it's becoming worrisome. And according to labor statistics, we have more than 60% of Nigerian youth being unemployed at the moment. What's your take on this?
Oh, Sharon, sad. You keep hearing these issues of unemployment. And then when you look at the indices again, I feel as a nation, we're sitting on a time bomb in a situation where youths that are coming out of the high colleges, universities and the rest do not see jobs to work, job to do, and then they are idle. Of course, you will agree with me, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. I have canvassed this severally, talking with various institutions and government agencies as regard to this. We need to rise up to bring back hope to this country. Of course, you will agree with me. The youths are the hopes of this country. The youths are the future leaders of this country. And when the future leaders are idle in whatever way, you know the consequences.
For me, it's one thing to be employed. It's another thing for you to be underemployed. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics actually said that more than 50% of Nigerian youths, or even an average Nigerian worker, is underemployed. As a labor leader, I would like you to expatiate on underemployment. I know for you it could be differentiated into casualization of worker, even when it comes to redundancy and the likes. So I would like to ask you, what's your take on being underemployed as an average Nigerian worker?
Honestly, when you talk about underemployment, it's also understatement in terms of looking at the current population we find ourselves today and the kind of work that is existing in the country. Of course, the country itself is also unemployed. And when you look at the situations where we find ourselves, if you talk about putting employment statistics on ground and what is needed to, reactivate or put the nation's economy in a proper perspective and on the right pedestrian, it means workers need to be employed, more workers need to be employed. Issues of the companies that we're talking about need to be, recreated, that have wound up since the past how many years now. It is shocking to begin to see where, in those days as a child when I was growing up, I had these two key shops, Leventis and UTC. Kingsway was also available. Where are they in this country today? I was shocked to observe that Kingsway is still existing in Kenya. I was shocked to see that Leventis is also existing, and you ask yourself, where are these companies to create the jobs that are needed to put the economic activities of these nations on ground running? And so underemployment, by virtue of the statistics we have today on ground, you know that that is where we have the challenges today we're facing as a country. As a labor man, I want to believe that from the inception of the military era to where we find ourselves today, the administration today is like taking us back into 20 years of our existence as a nation in terms of where we need to find ourselves. So if we don't get it right now, then something is wrong. But I want to believe that it already is gone. So when you begin to ask of the ruling government today to say, look, what do you have for us to do? When the politicians are really talking about their re-elections, they need to come back again into telling us the same old stories of give us 1 year, we're going to perform the expected magic in the hearts of Nigerians. So for me, the expected change that needs to move this country forward is our PVC. And so if that is not there even as a worker, which of course it is our fundamental right to vote, to voting leadership, as well to vote out leadership. So if as workers we do not feel the pains of where we are today as a nation, then something is wrong with us even as Nigerian workers. But I'm sure the current situation we find ourselves today, the workers have a decision to make, either to move this country forward, or either to continue to retrogress the country to a situation where we'll be all crying and yearning for that expectation that is needed in terms of putting jobs on ground for our youths that are coming up, in terms of also bringing up leaders that need to move this country forward.
The federal government claims they've created millions of jobs for an average Nigerian worker. I would like to ask you, how would you rate the NPower program? Would you say it has achieved its purpose?
Of course, the answer is no. When you talk about, you now ask what are the millions of jobs that is created again. It's sad when you talk about those who are in and those who are also outside, when you make the comparisons and the average. If you take the average, you know that the answer is no. The NPower job hasn't given the expected number of employment that is expected. Nigerian youths are still out there searching for jobs. I'll tell you, Sharon, just make an advert, just a simple advert of saying, look, you want to employ maybe just 10 graduates as a marketing personnel, just 10. Just make that advert on the media and give an address of where you want to do the interview. The number of people that will appear for that interview will amaze you. It will shock you. And so that is the kind of unemployment challenges we have in the country. And so for a government to begin to say, look, we have employed Nigerians, I wonder where the Nigerians are that are being given these jobs. Today you hear the challenges that is going on unemployment in terms of some of these ministries and agencies. People keep employing secretly. People just do things in their own ways. For me, we've canvassed this over and over again, but I think, I don't want to know whether it is late, whether it is too early, but something needs to be done. And that thing that needs to be done is that, look, I've said this, look, Mr. President needs to sit down. Is it to dissolve his cabinet and bring in the right people to begin to deliver services for Nigerians within this short period of his transition into 2019? Let it be done. And so we cannot hold the country to ransom, and it's sad for me, for us to keep talking about these issues of unemployment, talking about these issues of power generation in this country. It's sad to keep talking about these issues of non-availability of petroleum products again across this country to create jobs that is expected. So, and then the non-workability of our refineries as to refine these issues locally again. So I keep asking myself, where did we get it wrong? So if something is wrong somewhere, then we must begin to walk in the direction that we need to get things right.
So what are the visible solutions that you think you can provide in ensuring that we have more youth being employed in the country? Honestly,
I've said something again in terms of issues of how do we get our youth back on job. Again, we need to create the enable environment for investors, and the enable environment in terms of talking about for investors to come in is to talk about the issues of power, which you've also raised. Where there are no powers existing, investors find it difficult to come in to start generating power themselves and say they want to do business and make profit out of it. Now, the second issue again is government should begin to look at how is it to declare a business-free zone environment that can also bring in investors to come into that environment and begin to create jobs for Nigerians. Look, if you go to China and if you go to other African countries, you see a situation where an industrialization village is being created, where jobs are being created for Nigerians, and then the environment is secure, there is power generation, there is social infrastructures, the necessary things that needs to be available there to keep these investors going is made available. So if government wants to create jobs today for Nigerians, it means, I've said something here sometime last year, I said, look, just the byproduct alone that comes out of the refinery, the crude oil, the crude itself that we refine, the byproduct, it has about how many byproducts out of that product itself you're saying, the crude itself, has about 80-something byproducts. And then if you trim them down again and say, look, how do we manage this product again? You can trim them to 16 byproducts. That can go a long way to do what? To create jobs for Nigerians. So today we are importing, we are as well exporting, and there is nothing to show for to create those economic environment that can create jobs for Nigerians. And so if you don't, and then there is something wrong somewhere. So government again, secondly, should sit back again and create a state of emergency in terms of job generation for Nigerians, in terms of making sure our energy sector is given the urgent attention that is needed, in terms of our railway system. I'm sad. It's sad to talk about this issue of railway. I'm telling you, railway, when we were growing up as children, created millions of jobs for Nigerians. And today, where is that railway? So if we talk about jobs, there are so many things government need to do to get this thing going. I've said one basic thing is declaring. What do we need to do? Is it to create what I call a tax holiday within a time frame? And that brings me to where I talk about the short-term, the mid-term, and the long-term processes of getting things done. So when you are able to begin to push these issues that is expected, and if Mr. President feel, look, those I have in my cabinet has failed, I need people to kickstart some few issues within the shortest possible time. Let him go ahead. I've said one basic way of achieving these issues is to dissolve his executive council and bring in the right people to deliver service within the short period into his transition in 2019. And I'm telling you, he will buy back the hearts of Nigerians to keep this system going.
Looking at national policies, there are several policies that has actually taken place in the last couple of months that has not favored the work environment, be it from the banking sector to the oil and gas and other major sectors in the country. I would like to ask you, are there any national policies that you think that the government can actually incorporate into the system to ensure that we have a more vibrant economy?
Look, Sharon, talking about policies, we have good policies that are existing in this country. If you go through our policies, if you go through the constitutions, if you go through some of these, created small policies in terms of which they are very good. The only problem we have in this country, Sharon, is implementation. In all my life as a labor leader, in all that I've seen in terms of the policy of government to move this country forward, they are good policies. They are policies, if you put them into actions, they play out and they give the expected hopes. Now, when you come into the banking sector, like we talk about, okay, let me just take a simple policy of talking about casualization today. That we have the highest number of casual personnel, that are source workers in the banking sector. The law is there. The law is there that, look, you cannot keep somebody to work for you as an source staff more than 6 months. And once the job in question is just within the time frame that is a permanent in nature and can stay on for more than 1, 2, 3 years, that job is a job to be permanent in nature. So it's a pensionable job. But the reverse is the case. Today, an employer will take a job and say, look, work for me for 6 months, it's renewable, he renews. The next 6 months you work, he renews. And then you keep working as an source staff for the next 30, 40 years.
Of your life.
Of your life. And so tell me what impact you think such a person is going to create in the nation's economy. So those policies are there. So where did we get it wrong? What is the Ministry of Labour doing? In terms of making sure these policies are being complied to. We have the judiciary itself, which is the voice of the common man, the voice of the hopeless. The NIC is there. And so what are they supposed to do? I kept saying that, Sharon, we don't need to begin to look for, you say you want to look for the eye of a fish. You now go to the tail to look for the eye of the fish. You will find it. The eye of the fish is on the head of the fish. So the policy that is expected to move these nations forward It's there. It's there in the government books. It's there in the Constitution. We have the Bible. It's there in the policies of the various acts that created all the agencies of governance. The policies are there. And so when you come back into a system to get things right, you now begin to see repetitions as if they are creating a new policy. And so you now begin to say, this one say create one committee to look into this issue. They form one committee. Either again to take the taxpayers' money that is supposed to come back again to Nigerians to put the infrastructure, to pay some committee again to begin to do job. And so these are some of the challenges we're having in the country.
It was good having you on the program.
Thanks, Sharon. My pleasure.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.